The gospel music world has been shaken to its core. What began as a quiet, somber message quickly turned into a wave of heartbreak and reflection across social media, churches, and homes worldwide. One of the genre's most cherished voices, Jonathan McReynolds, is now the one in need of the strength he's given so many through his music. In a time where chaos, confusion, and heartbreak often dominate the headlines, Jonathan's music has consistently cut through the noise. His lyrics, marked by authenticity and spiritual honesty, have served as a light for countless listeners navigating their own valleys. Songs like Cycles, Not Lucky, I'm Loved, and People have helped believers articulate their struggles and return to faith, not as an abstract ideal, but as a lived experience. Jonathan didn't just sing the gospel, he lived it. But now, in an unexpected and deeply painful development, the world is being asked to lift up the very man whose voice has helped them find theirs. Earlier today, McReynolds' management team released a statement that confirmed what fans had feared. The singer is enduring a personal tragedy of immense weight. The update did not share detailed specifics, but acknowledged the loss as something that has deeply impacted both his personal life and spiritual walk. Jonathan is going through one of the most difficult seasons of his life, the statement read. We ask for your prayers, compassion, and understanding as he takes the time he needs to heal. Known not only for his Grammy-winning talent, but for his heart, Jonathan has been more than just an artist. He's been a minister, a mentor, and a voice for those who never felt seen. His transparency about faith, flaws, and emotional battles resonated with a generation seeking realness in their relationship with God. That's why this moment hurts so deeply, because it feels personal. Almost immediately, the gospel music community sprang into action. Tributes, prayer posts, and heartfelt messages flooded the internet. Artists like Tasha Cobbs, Kirk Franklin, and Chandler Moore shared words of love and solidarity, reminding the world that even strong vessels of ministry are still human. Even those who had never met him found themselves grieving. He was there for me when I lost my way, one fan wrote. Now I want to be there for him in prayer. In a world quick to consume artists and move on, Jonathan McReynolds stands apart. He gave more than music, he gave himself. And now he's being embraced by the very community he helped build. No one knows exactly how long his recovery, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, will take. But one thing is certain, the prayers being lifted on his behalf are strong, sincere, and unified. And perhaps just as his music has healed others, the love of those who've listened will help heal him now. A sudden silence. The heartbreak didn't come through headlines or a televised announcement. It came quietly, without fanfare or spectacle, through a deeply emotional and carefully worded message shared on Jonathan McReynolds' official Instagram account. It was the kind of post that made readers pause, reread, and hold their breath. With a heavy heart, we share that Jonathan is currently walking through one of the darkest valleys of his life. We ask for privacy and prayer as he faces this unimaginable season. In just a few lines, the gospel community was shaken. No elaborate explanations were given, no sensational details added. But the message was enough. The weight of those words fell heavy on the hearts of fans and fellow artists alike. What followed was a wave of quiet sorrow, not a frenzy of speculation, but a rising tide of prayer. Though the message was intentionally vague, sources close to McReynolds have since confirmed that the singer has recently experienced the sudden and devastating loss of a close family member. Compounding that grief, McReynolds reportedly suffered a significant health scare shortly after, a complication serious enough to demand his full attention and healing. These two traumatic events occurring within a short span have forced him to take a step back from his usual rhythm of performances, ministry events, studio recordings, and public appearances. For many, the news felt unreal. Jonathan McReynolds, the voice behind some of the most spiritually grounding and emotionally honest songs of the last decade, seemed untouchable, unshakable. His music has become a soundtrack for healing and hope. Now that same voice is silent, not by choice, but by necessity. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, his comment sections were flooded with prayers, heartfelt messages, and testimonies from people all over the world. Fans who had once leaned on McReynolds' music in their darkest hours now rushed to return the strength he had so freely given. Some posted personal stories of overcoming depression, grief, or anxiety through songs like Cycles, Make Room, and People. Others simply left emojis of folded hands or tears, unable to express the weight of their emotions in words. Fellow gospel artists and industry peers also chimed in, expressing their concern and solidarity. Tasha Cobbs Leonard wrote, "Jonathan, you've ministered through our pain for so long. Now we cover you. We're praying without ceasing." Lecrae, who has collaborated with McReynolds on past projects, tweeted simply, "Grace and peace to my brother. Lift him up today." The silence from McReynolds himself since the announcement has been palpable. Known for his frequent social media engagement, encouraging reflections, and moments of spontaneous worship, his absence has left a noticeable void. But perhaps that silence speaks louder than any lyric could. It's a reminder that even the most gifted voices need time to rest, that even those who carry others' burdens in song must sometimes lay down their own. Jonathan, who has so often sung about vulnerability, is now embodying it in the most real and painful way. What makes this season even more poignant is the intimacy his fans feel with him. Unlike many artists, McReynolds has always welcomed listeners into his inner life, his doubts, his questions, his flaws. That openness has made this moment all the more painful for those who feel as though they've walked with him for years. As the gospel world prays and waits, there is a sacred stillness, a collective pause in honor of a man who has done so much for others through his voice, his pen, and his quiet strength. There is grief, yes, but also gratitude. For who he is, for what he's given, and for the faith that even now remains the anchor through it all. McReynolds' silence may feel sudden, but in that silence the prayers of millions are rising, louder than any applause, believing for peace, healing, and a testimony still in the making. The voice of transparency. Jonathan McReynolds has never been just another voice in gospel music. He is a storyteller, a worship leader, and a soul who ministers not merely through lyrics but through lived experience. From the release of his debut album, Life Music, in 2012, it was clear he had no interest in crafting surface-level songs. His music wasn't just made for churches, it was made for hearts. From the beginning, Jonathan stood out. While others focused on grandeur or tradition, his songs invited listeners into quiet moments of raw introspection. They weren't overly produced statements of faith. They were honest conversations, with God, with himself, and with the struggles so many believers silently endure. Tracks like Cycles, Not Lucky I'm Loved, and Make Room didn't just top charts, they ministered deeply. These songs became personal prayers for many, soundtracks for seasons of growth, struggle, and surrender. His lyricism carried a gentle yet powerful confession that faith is not always polished, but it is persistent. In No Gray, he confronted the danger of spiritual compromise, singing with conviction about the necessity of choosing holiness over convenience. In People, one of his most emotionally charged songs, he voiced a prayer so many had silently whispered, for healing from betrayal, disappointment, and the pain caused by others. It was in these vulnerable moments that listeners felt seen, as if someone had finally put their feelings into melody. Jonathan's genius lies not only in his voice, but in his willingness to be transparent. His struggles, doubts, and prayers became bridges for others. He created space where believers could admit they were weary, confused, or broken without shame. He made it okay to be imperfect while striving for righteousness. For the dreamers who feel discouraged, the faithful who feel forgotten, or the worshipers who sometimes feel like wanderers, Jonathan became a familiar guide, not because he claimed to have all the answers, but because he dared to ask the same questions they did. And now, in a painful and unexpected twist, the man who gave his heart so freely through song is facing a trial that has silenced his voice, at least for now. The irony is not lost on those who love his music. The singer who offered strength to the brokenhearted is now in need of strength himself. The minister who told others to hold on through their darkest days is walking through one of his own. But even in this silence, his testimony continues. His past songs now carry new weight, echoing with a deeper sense of purpose, not because they were written from perfection, but because they were born from honesty. Jonathan McReynolds has shown us that ministry is not about being invincible, it's about being real, about surrendering to God even when everything feels uncertain. As he faces this valley, the gospel community stands with him, not just as fans, but as fellow travelers on the same road of faith and fragility. In his transparency, Jonathan gave the world something sacred. Now it's our turn to return that gift through prayer, love, and unwavering support. A community in tears. The heartbreaking news of Jonathan McReynolds' suffering reverberated across the gospel music world, leaving an entire community in collective mourning and prayer. Grammy-winning artist and dear friend Tasha Cobbs Leonard was among the first to share a heartfelt tribute. Through teary words on her social media, she wrote, "Jonathan has ministered to so many of us in ways that words cannot explain. Today our brother needs our prayers. He's not just an artist, he's family to all of us in the kingdom." Kirk Franklin, a mentor and vocal supporter of McReynolds, responded with quiet strength, posting a simple black image bearing the words, "Covering you in prayer, son." As the news spread, fans from every corner of the globe responded. They shared personal testimonies, screen recordings of Jonathan's live performances, and heartfelt handwritten notes inspired by his songs. The hashtag #Pray for Jonathan quickly gained momentum, transforming into a global wave of intercession and encouragement, uniting believers from all walks of life in lifting up the one who has so often lifted them. The private side of a public minister, despite rising to national and international prominence, Jonathan McReynolds has always carried himself with quiet humility. While his accolades include Grammy Awards, chart-topping albums, and sold-out tours, he has never been one to chase the spotlight. Instead, he's consistently chosen authenticity over attention and depth over display. Beneath the surface of his musical success lies a deeply introspective soul, one grounded in faith, integrity, and a sincere desire to serve. Unlike many artists who build their platforms through polished branding and carefully curated moments, Jonathan's connection with his audience came through vulnerability. His Sunday morning Instagram devotionals, stripped-down acoustic worship sessions, and spontaneous prayers became a source of peace for thousands. To many, these weren't performances, they were ministry. It's this deep sincerity that makes his current silence so profound. His absence isn't just about a missing voice on a playlist. It's the absence of a trusted friend, a spiritual companion, a familiar guide. For those who found hope in his honesty, the emptiness left behind is real. Jonathan wasn't just another gospel singer. He was and is a reflection of us, and now in his pain, the community aches with him. Faith through the fire. In the midst of heartbreak and deep personal loss, one truth remains clear. Jonathan McReynolds' faith is still intact. Though shaken by grief, his trust in God has not wavered. According to his team, while Jonathan has stepped away from the spotlight to heal, he remains firmly anchored in the very faith he has long sung about. Though Jonathan is grieving, healing, and taking time away, the official statement read, he remains anchored in Christ. He continues to lean on God for comfort and clarity. In a private letter shared with a close circle of spiritual mentors and friends, Jonathan offered a glimpse into his emotional state. "I've sung about brokenness for years. Now I'm feeling it deeper than I ever imagined. But even in this, I know God is still good. He's not absent. He's near. I just need time to breathe, to mourn, and to hear Him again." That unfiltered honesty is what has defined his ministry from the start. Jonathan never claimed to be above pain, only devoted to finding God through it. And now, as he walks through his own fire, his words serve as a reminder, God's strength shines brightest when ours is gone. Hope in the healing. Though no official timeline has been set for Jonathan McReynolds' return to music or ministry, those close to him believe what emerges from this painful season will be some of his most powerful and personal work yet. A close friend, speaking on condition of anonymity, shared a glimpse into Jonathan's quiet journey of healing. He's been writing, not to make hits or prepare an album, but simply to process, to survive. The music coming from this place of deep pain and raw faith will, I believe, touch hearts in ways we've never seen before. As Jonathan takes time to grieve and reflect, support continues to pour in from churches, ministries, and believers across the nation. Special prayer nights, worship gatherings, and candlelight vigils are being held in his honor, moments of collective strength for the man who has strengthened so many. In Birmingham, Alabama, a small church choir recently shared a moving tribute. After performing McReynolds' song Grace by candlelight, they posted, "You poured into us when we needed hope. Now we pour back into you." In this sacred pause, a community waits, prays, and believes that healing is happening, and that hope is quietly rising through every note yet to be sung. Fans reflect, "He was there when I needed God most." As the heartbreaking update about Jonathan McReynolds continues to ripple through the gospel music world, fans everywhere are pausing to reflect on the impact his music has had on their personal journeys of faith, healing, and survival. For many, Jonathan wasn't just a singer, he was a spiritual lifeline during life's most painful chapters. Maria Jennings, 28, from Dallas, shared her story through tears. "When I lost my mom to cancer, Make Room was all I could play. I didn't even have the words to pray anymore, but that song said everything I couldn't. It became my prayer. I truly believe God used Jonathan's voice to comfort me. Part of my healing came through his ministry." Daniel Brooks, a college student in Florida, echoed a similar sentiment. "I was battling depression and barely hanging on. Cycles helped me recognize patterns in my life that were destroying me spiritually. It was like he reached into my heart and spoke what I was too afraid to say." Their stories are just two among thousands, a testament to the way Jonathan's honesty, compassion, and music have helped countless souls find light in their darkest hours. From tragedy, a deeper unity. I was struggling with depression and was honestly on the edge. Cycles made me realize I was not alone and that God could break the chains. Jonathan helped save my life. This testimony is one of countless reflections pouring in, all echoing the same powerful truth. Jonathan McReynolds' music has never been about performance, it's been about purpose. His songs were lifelines, soaked in honesty, offered as healing balm for wounded hearts. And now, in his own time of need, the people he once ministered to are returning that love in the most meaningful way, through prayer, intercession, and unwavering support. A moment of sacred unity. The gospel community has known seasons of loss, but this moment feels uniquely sacred. There's a collective pause, a reverence, as believers across the globe unite not around music charts or concert stages, but around a shared heartache and hope. The outpouring of support is not just about admiration for Jonathan's talent. It's about the spiritual family he helped create through his vulnerability. Denominations fade, generations blend, borders disappear, all to form one body, lifting up the artist who lifted so many others when they couldn't lift themselves. Looking ahead with faith. As Jonathan McReynolds walks through this valley of grief and silence, one truth remains clear: this is not the end of his story. His journey has always been one marked by honesty, grace, and redemption. And if brokenness has been a theme of his music, it's because he knows it well and knows the beauty that can rise from it. Fans remain hopeful that when he returns, it won't just be as a singer, but as living testimony of God's nearness in sorrow and strength in suffering. Until then, we wait, we pray, and we cover him in the same grace he once taught us to sing about. I don't want to live in cycles. I got to break out of these cycles. Final words, a love letter to a wounded healer. He sang it for us. Now we sing it for him. Jonathan, if these words ever reach you, know this: your voice has not faded. Even in this silence, your songs still play softly in hospital rooms, echo in broken hearts, and rise like prayers in quiet sanctuaries. You've given us more than music. You've given us your truth. You taught us that vulnerability is strength, that brokenness can still worship, and that faith isn't about perfection but persistence. Now, in this moment of pain and pause, we honor you. We honor your courage, we respect your need to heal, and we stand united in love and prayer for the man who so often carried us through. God is not done with your story, and when you're ready, we'll be here. Still listening, still believing, still singing. With all our hearts, we're lifting you now.